It says you're live. Are we live?
Yes, I think we are live with no one. So here we go.
Hi, everyone.
Hello and welcome to DK Comics and Cosplay. I am Delphia and this is Kachung.
Don't adjust your TV. This is an accent.
I think we're going to have to get used to looking at the camera. So if we're not looking at the camera directly initially, sorry about that.
We're looking down here at the laptop. This has been such a mission. I don't know how complicated. There really hasn't been anything as complicated as setting up a YouTube channel.
It was pretty complicated. I made a YouTube channel like when I was 17 for World of Warcraft, and I think it was pretty plug and play then, but this was a little bit more involved, I think. So what we are going to do today is our Valentine's, or tonight is our Valentine's Day special.
It's Valentine's Day. Well, it's still, what time is it? It's almost midnight, so
11:42. So it's still it is still Valentine's Day. So we just wanted to introduce ourselves and then talk about why we created this channel, what inspired us to do that, and why we started collecting. We have very different reasons for collecting. And also the topic of love in comics, because love is complicated all the time.
Relationships are tough. It's hard.
Yeah. So I...
oh, look, we have people in the chat.
It's Fire Guy Ryan. Hey, Ryan. We love you. Dave is very similar to you. So this was a challenge getting him to come on this channel.
Yeah.
But I think it'll be fun. And John's here.
Yay. Our best supporters.
And there is someone right behind us. That's actually my Maleficent cosplay from Dragon Con. And that mannequin is pretty terrible, to be honest. Like, the arms fall off all the time. And
it was a mission getting her in that spot just so that she would, have all her arms and legs and head. And the costume on as well. That was the next challenge.
Yeah, it was. But we got her upstairs, and she's part of the show, I guess. So.
Oh, we got a lot of people. Wow, this is crazy for our first time. So not only are we going for our first video, but we're going live as well.
Yeah, it's actually pretty cold in this room typically. That's why I have on a hoodie. But I'm pretty nervous. So, and you look pretty nervous.
I'm really nervous. So I'm always awkward. She brings the sunshine. I bring the awkward, and I challenge Fire Guy Ryan to King of Awkward.
I think that's a challenge you guys can both have for sure. So I think that we did the intro, right? We covered that.
Well, no, we didn't. There's a dog over there. That's Harley. She'll get on camera later. But this is Archer. Excuse his snoring. He's pretty loud, as pugs are.
Archer is always in the middle, and everywhere, in the bed, on the couch, in life. So Archer is he's our middle child, I guess. We have 2 pug children.
Hey, wow, look at all the people in the chat. Let's see who we have here. How do I scroll up? Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
I just used the touchpad. I need to get a mouse. So we got John's Comics with Kids. Great guy. Honestly, John, I mean, you're one of the reasons we started this channel. It's one of the reasons, you are one of the reasons that we,
got brave enough.
Got brave enough. But also, I won Charlie's competition for whichever cover that she loved, which was the Supergirl. And you sent me a bunch of cool comics. I mean, those things were amazing. And I'd never had comics given to me before like that. And it felt really special. And at the same time, we're pretty giving people. So we just sent some back. We jumped online and we just, we thought about the girls, and we just figured that we might. Oh, you found it? Now she can join the chat. How about that? So we just wanted to give back, and I think that's a great part of this community. Is the community itself and the people in it. You guys are all amazing. You've sparked up courage inside me to get in front of a camera, which I hate my whole life. I've hated public speaking. So I guess I just picture this camera naked, and everyone in the chat, and I'll be fine.
I think for us, Dave's from Australia, and
if you couldn't tell.
And I'm originally from Georgia. We actually met in Austin, Texas. We both moved there separately, and we met rock climbing. Dave had been doing it for a really long time, and I just wanted to do something to challenge myself. And so we were really, I would say, social in Austin. Like, we were always going out with a bunch of people from like work and rock climbing, and we are really extroverts, so it was exhausting. And I think that this is a really great way for us to have friends
without going outside the house.
But we're inside the house, which is kind of sad but cool at the same time. So, but we're really excited. So we have Fire Guy Ryan, Barbarian Kung Fu, and
he's one of the symbiote guys. How about that?
That's his side chat that he has all the time, and I hear about everything in there. Pretty much, I think. Maybe not everything, but mostly everything. And
Ryan said, "Yay, the awkward ones."
Oh, us?
No, me.
Oh,
You're not awkward.
I
You're
don't know.
Awesome.
I feel pretty awkward, but
Archer looks nervous too. Yeah. No, he's flat out asleep.
He's never nervous. And I got issues. He's awesome. So he's definitely become a friend of ours, I would say, through Instagram for sure. And then we got John Comments and Kids with Kate and Charlie. And John knows that I love Kate and Charlie. They're awesome. They're the reason that I get up Saturday morning.
Yeah, otherwise she sleeps till, I don't know.
Whenever I can.
Sometime.
I get up really early Monday through Friday, so Saturday is definitely my sleep-in day. So it works out that you guys are not in the same time zone for sure.
Yeah, that's actually pretty cool. Yay, East Coast.
And then we have Big Lion Cat. Are you familiar? I don't know Big Lion Cat.
Oh, I don't know if I've hit that like he says.
Oh, okay.
We need to go and hit all the likes on his channel.
Yeah, definitely, for sure.
Go sub up Big Lion Cat 646.
So I think I have called out everybody that's in the chat, because I think that's always really cool to do. And I'm pretty sure I said everyone's name correctly phonetically, which doesn't always happen. So I tried to do that. And so I think we could jump into why Dave, for sure, Kachung, started collecting, because his story is definitely a little bit more elaborate than mine.
It is long and arduous. No, I'll try and briefly explain. So I never really got into collecting until I was probably late teens. But when I was young, I was everything Star Wars. That was pretty much me, was Star Wars and playing outside barefoot, just playing with my Star Wars figures. So I think when I was about 8, my mom bought me this guy, and it traveled everywhere with me. I mean, this thing's been through the dirt, dragged behind me in suitcases. It's been everywhere. So it's seen a lot of life. But so that was my first ever comic. And I didn't even know what a comic shop was. I didn't know what collecting was. But I knew I loved comics. And everything to do with Spider-Man and what else was on at the time. I mean, the old Battlestar Galactica, that's cringeworthy, but I admit I watched that. Steven Spielberg, anything George Lucas. So I traveled a lot, and then we settled down, and in a town called Canberra. It's actually the capital. If anyone is familiar with Australia, Canberra is the capital. That's where I grew up. And I was in my late teens, and I walked into the record store when they used to, still sell vinyl records, and they had comics in there. And I'm a horror guy. I don't know if anyone else is a horror guy or girl, but I love the special effects. Unfortunately, my uncle introduced me to horror movies when I was 11. And the first real horror movie I watched was The Exorcist and Evil Dead. So at 11 years old, I was pretty succumbed to horror. And I pretty quickly learned that it wasn't real. And at one stage, when you're a kid, you want to be everything. You want to be an astronaut. You want to be a doctor, a fireman, definitely. But, what was I talking about?
Why you got into comics? You wanted to be a fireman, an astronaut.
I don't know where I was going with that. But, oh, yes, I do. Horror, special effects. I love the special effects. So the gore, I knew it wasn't real.
Archer.
He's snoring. Hopefully he's not drowning out the chat.
Oh.
But anyway, so
Also.
I loved Aliens and Predator. And so they were my two favorite kind of like movie characters, I guess. And so when I walked into that record store, I saw this guy staring back at me, Predator, Dark Horse Comics. And this was the first, actually, it was Aliens and this one. I don't have the Aliens here. It's actually at work. I have it up on the wall at work. These two comics were the first two that I actually bought with my own pocket money.
It's in good condition.
It's in it's in Mylar, so adds 3 grades, right?
Magic.
Evil Dead rules. Barbarian Kung Fu, you're my man. And yeah, he's
Thanks
a
for
fatty.
the like, Big Lion.
Awesome. So anyway, my story's getting long. Another horror comic that I love, Clive Barker. You guys know what Hellraiser is. Nightbreed was another pretty cool movie, at least for the time. So I have a few of these. I think the first 10 Nightbreed comics. And so I would go into the record store and pick up a comic here and there and some music, cassette tapes, and I think CDs eventually came out. I'm pretty old. I'm not that old.
Not that old.
But I'm old enough to know what cassettes are and the introduction of CDs. So anyway, I went out searching for a comic store because a friend of mine, Phil, he said, "Hey, there's a comic store down in the center of the city. Let's go check it out." He'd never been. And sure enough, I walked in there, and what was on the shelf but McFarlane's Spider-Man was staring right back at me. And I'm such an outdoorsy guy. I love climbing. Spider-Man just made sense, and so this was the comic that got me into collecting comics, was McFarlane Spider-Man #1. The gold cover was sitting right next to it, and for whatever reason, I thought this was cooler. Right now, I think this is probably half the price of the gold one. I'm not sure. I know the gold one's worth more, but whatever. This one's worth more to me. What a comic's worth.
That's how Reggie collects.
That is how Reggie collects. To me, worth of a comic is different than the value of a comic. And the value can be $1 or 50 cents. But if it means a lot to me, then there's worth there. So McFarlane Spider-Man, I think I have the first 51 issues. Actually, I have the first 50. Delphia got me number 51 without even knowing I didn't have it, probably about 3 weeks ago. So this is the book that got me started in collecting. Soon after, I sought out another character that I thought it had been out for a long time, and I wanted quite a few. And so my first actual run of comics was this guy, and this is pretty good
Moon
condition.
Knight.
Moon Knight, one of my cosplays. I finally got to make him. Maybe not quite as good as the real thing, but Moon Knight, I think I purchased with the money I made from being a milk runner, the first 20 or 22 issues of the first Moon Knight series.
Aw, I got it. She says you're a natural. That's
a natural
sweet.
at what?
Talking.
No, I'm not.
Everyone likes Dave.
I don't know why. Kind of a weirdo, really.
He's a good guy.
I try to be a good guy. Anyway, so then I started rock climbing, and then that was it. Everything disappeared from my life, even college, except rock climbing. And that took me traveling around the world. I ended up traveling for about 10 years. I dropped out of college. I ended up going back and finishing what I'd started. But that was it. And then I ended up doing all sorts of stuff, finished my degree, came to the States, went to Texas A&M for a master's degree. And what did I do? I found comics again. And this was probably 2006. And this is the book and the series that I started.
Camera angle.
I started collecting. I've learned from all these guys. I learned that you got to not put the light there. See? That's bad. There we go.
That's good.
So, World War Hulk. I'm a Marvel guy. I'm sorry, Ryan. I know you're pretty DC-like, right? But so World War Hulk, I started collecting. Also, the Civil War. My very first slab. I only had 2 slabs up until last year.
That's true.
Yeah.
He said, "I got issues. Compliments are bigger than regular compliments because they're so rare." And Fire Guy Ryan says, "It's okay. World Hulk and Civil War are awesome."
Thanks, Ryan. They are pretty cool. I like this cover too. It's not the regular cover. It's one of my favorites. Iron Man's trying his hardest. I think the 5th issue is my favorite with Sentry on it. Finch. There's a David Finch cover.
Big Lion says Marvel 1, DC 2.
Oh, they're counting who's a Marvel person and who's a DC person, probably.
I got it. This is like the side chat.
The side chat.
Yeah.
What goes on behind the scenes.
Maybe
We've always
chat,
been
chat,
in the chat.
Chat girl.
She's
Chat
the
girl.
side chat girl. Okay. Anyway, so this World War Hulk and Civil War were the 2 main series that I collected when I first came to the States. 2006 to about 2009. Then life got complicated again, and then I met Delphia. And fast forward to last year.
When we went to Australia.
We went to Australia.
Mm-hmm.
It was her first trip.
A
And
big trip.
It was.
We went to Brisbane, Melbourne, and Adelaide.
Mm-hmm. We did a little bit of sightseeing.
Mm-hmm.
She went to Australia Zoo and hugged a koala.
It was awesome.
Awesome. She always wanted to do that. And so we saw a lot of my family, and I had left. What?
Oh no! Big Lion said, "Good day, mate."
G'day, mate. I'm not related to Steve Irwin, but yeah, he's a pretty cool guy. I did get to meet him. Went to Australia Zoo way back. I don't know when it was. It you know, he was obviously still alive. Great guy, big heart. So anyway, we visited my auntie, my mom's sister, and I had left all my valuables. It was maybe I don't know if you guys know what a tea chest is, but you know, it's one of these big chests they used to send tea back and forward from India. People store things in them, I guess. I had one of those. They transferred them into boxes, but in that stuff was stuff from my mom and 2 short boxes of my old comics, which are some of the ones I've shown you, and quite a few others. Ren and Stimpy. What else did I have? I collected Iron Man. That was on my first pull list. This is early 90s, so Iron Man. What else was I collecting? Dr. Fate, DC. I think Dr. Fate and the Demon. Oh, just a second. This is the second Demon series. So this was also on the shelf that day I went and got Spider-Man. I didn't get it that day, but I ended up going back and getting it.
It's pretty cool.
At Trigan, they need to make a movie of this guy because he's awesome. Very undervalued character. So yeah, Demon and Dr. Fate were my 2 DC boys. And also I have this guy. I have all of this first run from Demon, the first series. Almost
Kirby goodness.
Kirby awesomeness. Anyway, where was I?
Your journey of collecting.
Right.
You went back to Australia, got your books.
Right. We got my books. We got them back we checked them in luggage on the plane and brought them back. And so, you know, I had comics were back on my brain again. And sure enough, pretty hard. Says a very supportive wife. If you guys have very supportive wives like I do, you're millionaires. Without having $1 million, you're a millionaire. So I'm on Instagram. I'm flipping through the feed, and then the algorithm says, "Hey, check Clayton Crane out," and it flashed this picture of a new comic that was coming out, The Amazing Spider-Man #1, and I was like, "What? #1? Why are they starting at #1? I didn't even know that they'd started at #1. When was it? I don't even know when that was. Like 5 years ago or something. Anyway, so I went to his website and I bought the damn comic, didn't I? And so this showed up. It's Clayton Crane exclusive.
Cool.
Like that.
No, I think you have it better.
There we go. There we go. Without my face in it. So, yeah, signed by Clayton Crane. He is a master. And up until I saw this, Todd McFarlane was, you know, he's the Spider-Man. His Spider-Man is Spider-Man. Like that, Todd McFarlane to me is the man. And but then I saw this and I'm like, this guy can draw. Man, the art has just, since 2008 or whatever, the art has got pretty good. Amazing. So I got this last year, and that's what started this whole journey this time, was this comic.
Nice. I think we kind of skipped something, and so I just wanted to go back a little bit. I think our nerves got the better of us, but why we created the channel, you know, that's, I think,
right,
really important. So
Harley, she's
so we created the channel because we had been spending a lot of time on Instagram and watching everyone else's videos on YouTube. And I felt like initially, not a lot of people had videos on YouTube. It was mostly, Comic Tom and John and Reggie. But then some of the people that were a little bit more in the background, like we
more
were,
reserved. Yeah. They
started
popping out of the woodwork.
coming out, and it was really great to see them on camera. I felt like I got a better sense of who they were and could hear their voice and see their face, and felt like I knew them a little bit more. And I told Dave, I was like, hey, in order to be part of this conversation and to kind of step it up a little bit and to stay part of the conversation with everyone that we're building relationships with, this was kind of the next step.
Yeah. We wanted people to put faces to names and
to give that to the people that we're talking to as well, so they could see us and hear us and, and feel like they are getting to know us a little bit better as well. So we really appreciate everyone that's in the chat that came and joined us today. Tonight, this morning, and because it means a lot to us. So we really, really appreciate it.
Barbarian Kung Fu says she's a keeper. I agree.
Aww.
Absolute keeper. Big Lion Cat said married 21 wonderful years.
That's a long time.
Congrats. That's amazing. John said, I totally agree, Dave. Support is worth more than all the 181s. Hawk 181. Very valuable, but,
It's a good way to measure someone's worth.
Oh, that's you. I was about to read your comment. I'm like, who's that? Who's our moderator? We don't have any spanners. What is it? A wrench. We'll put out the application soon. Fire Guy said, I just heard Carlito scream from over here. What was that about? See, being in the chat and being in front of the cameras, it's so different.
Very different. So I guess we will jump into why I started collecting. My story is a lot shorter because I've been collecting a lot less amount of time, a shorter amount of time. So Dave and I do everything together. We go to Dragon Con together, and we get into crunch time probably like 4 or 5 months before Dragon Con, where the whole year we've talked about these costume ideas that we're going to do. And we want to highlight some of that on this channel as well. That's why and the DK is like Delphia and Kachung, and then comics and cosplay, just to kind of reflect what our channel is going to be. But we talk about these costumes all year long. And then 4 months before, we get into like, oh crap mode. We're like,
it's crunch time.
We're like, oh, it's like Dragon Con's really here. And that's definitely not the time to be ordering like obscure things on eBay, because sometimes that stuff takes months to get here.
Yeah.
And you need like really random weird pieces to put it all together. But then we like literally don't sleep, kind of, honestly. I actually told Dave like 2 days ago, I was like, and I guess I need to start like saying Kachung, but it's like so natural to say Dave. But it was like last week or 2 days ago, last week, it was, who knows. But I just said to him, I said, I was like, it's almost toasty season. So Australians call like grilled cheese sandwiches toasties. And so
I have a method. I do it in the frying pan.
It's so good.
Put a lid on it.
It's the best.
Just one side, flip it over. The trick is when you flip it over, you take the lid off. Otherwise, the top that you've already got nice and crispy goes soggy. Take that lid off.
But we do that. We do that every year, and we eat a lot of toasties because honestly, we don't have time to make dinner, and we're just like hot gluing and I don't know, like you have a heat gun for foam and
lots of poisonous stuff. You heat stuff up and you use glue that can give you cancer 10 times in a row.
Probably. It's probably a good thing that we condense it to that 4 month season. But
wear a mask.
We just kind of stay up really late. We've been really bad the last few years, to be perfectly honest, where like we are sometimes literally like finishing pieces of our costume, like as we're walking out the door to Dragon Con.
Yeah. There's Dragon Con, it's 5 days. It started off 4 days. I don't know, maybe even 3 days. But it's huge now, and you know, days and days of it. And so we dove in big time. We decided the first year we were going to do 5 costumes. She did 3, I did 2. And you know, we go out Thursday night in costume. The next day it's Friday. The morning we spend finishing pieces on our costume, and then we go back to Dragon Con. It's right here in town, so we just drive in. We don't have to fly and stay in a hotel. You know, spend the night. We come home. Our dogs are here. Our food is here, and we just stay in our own house, and then rinse and repeat. And the next morning we still doing pieces on another costume, and yeah, it's crazy.
I think we're gonna have to like work on our content because, full disclosure, we had 7 people and now we have 5. So
they were bots. The bots disappeared.
But so we do everything together. We do Dragon Con together. We watch these comic shows together, and so it was only natural when Dave came back from Australia with these comics, and he started buying me comics. I mean, that's really what happened. And I'm not sure if it was just him being really nice or if it was a ploy, but
a bit of both, maybe. I don't know.
He got me some comics.
I don't know, why did I buy comics?
And they were, and at first I was like, I'm good. I'm good. And then I made my first trip to one of our local comic stores, and I was a little disappointed with the selection there. I'm a bit of a perfectionist.
A bit of a perfectionist.
Yeah, and so I'm really good at picking out like the books that are in mint condition. So I kind of get really excited about that. Like, that's a very weird thing to get excited about with the comics, but like just finding perfect comics for me, like the corners and the ticks and the creases.
But hey, she goes into a comic store and she looks through every single one, and she'll look at the spines and the corners, and she'll find the best one.
But I can do it pretty quickly. Like, it's not like...
She's good at it.
Yeah. I'm
better than I am.
Pretty quick. I can look at a stack and then kind of narrow it down to like 2. And from those 2, I maybe then I take my time. But so after going to that comic book store, then I was like, well, I have to find a better comic book store. And I did. And we had a natural progression from there. Actually, my first book was from a restaurant that I bought myself, and it was I don't have it in front of me, but it was the foil Green Arrow, so that kind of gives you some perspective if some of you guys have that book.
Caught her eye from the corner of the room.
A very Bueller type book.
So it's a restaurant.
Shiny cover.
Kung Fu probably knows this place. My parents' basement. So they're a restaurant and a bar, but they also have a section of the restaurant where there's pinball machines and just the walls are lined with comic books. They have spinner racks and a bunch of long boxes just full of back issues. Pretty good deals.
Barbarian Kung Fu said he tried to buy his wife comics and she was not impressed. So maybe they just weren't the right comics.
Yeah.
Because we have a very different taste in what we like in comics.
Mm-hmm.
So I started, with that foil cover from the Green Arrow book, and now I have 4 short boxes. So, and I have bought all of them, and I have bought probably 90% of the books in my boxes. So I would say that all of my books, it's probably not very representative in the books that I have for the Valentine's Day special, but I typically really like really amazing women covers. I think it's really cool that women superheroes are starting to really be prevalent in the movies and in stories, and they're not just accessories to the stories. And so a lot of my books really reflect that. And I like color pops a lot. I just think they're really cool. And I also like, I mean, who doesn't like a good Virgin cover? I mean, those are always the best. So
Yeah, it's funny because I brought 2 comics into the house and showed her. One was a trade dress and one was the Virgin. I can't remember what that was. And you said, "Oh, I like the one with the writing on it more." But now she goes all over the Virgin covers. I mean,
I do love some Virgin covers.
Mark Brooks is right.
I do love some Mark Brooks. I actually have a Mark Brooks cover I just got.
Check this out.
It's so cool. So beautiful. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous Wonder Woman cover. And I actually got it $5 cheaper on eBay than from the store directly. It was from Elite Comics, I believe. And it wound up, I mean, they had the same book. So I was like, well, I'm going to get it on eBay for $5 cheaper because why not? Who wouldn't do that?
Oh, Big Lion Cat said his wife collects Betty Boop.
Oh, yeah, that's so cool. I saw that. That's neat.
That's cute. And Kung Fu has Betty Boop dolls.
Well, dude, Big Lion, if you want this book, go on.
Sorry.
If you wanted this book, go on eBay, and I think it's like $13, and like I think it's like $3 or $4 to ship. So it's cheaper to go.
What's a pinball machine?
So why I started collecting was mostly to spend time with Dave. I mean, really, we do everything together, and I got sucked in. And
yeah, I was in the book chat with White Whale and John with my headphones on, at night, and we'll, in bed.
At first he was doing all of the watching with headphones on because, to be perfectly honest, I was working usually. And so I was like, that's cool. Just do your thing. And now there are no headphones.
Yeah, we have TV, so we watch it on the TV. We chat on the phones. Oh, one Big Lion Cat said he wanted that, but you got that.
Mm-hmm.
Kung Fu said, are you digging the Art Germ covers?
Dave, we like the Art Germ covers a lot. I mean, I like the Art Germ covers. I feel like, to be perfectly honest with you, that a lot of the Art Germ covers, the faces look really similar. I mean, they're very recognizable, but sometimes the characters start blending together a little bit. I mean, the artwork is great.
Yeah, it's like Supergirl in cosplay.
Yeah.
Trying on all the other superheroes' costumes.
And I think that's what I really like about Mark Brooks' art. And I really realized it. We actually went to, I would say, our main LCS that we have started to develop a really good relationship with. And it kind of worked out for both of us because they just opened up, I want to say 4 months ago, something like that, pretty recently. So they're starting out. So they're trying to build relationships. We're trying to build relationships. And I actually got this really, really, really cool sketchbook that I put on my Instagram. And it was all Mark Brooks. And I was just looking through it. And I was pretty impressed with all of the different characters that he's actually drawn. I had no idea. Star Wars. He had, definitely some Marvel, some DC. I mean, a little bit of everything in there. Mm-hmm. But everything looked so true to the character to me. And that was really awesome. Because I feel like a lot of times the artists have their own spin on it, which can be great. But sometimes it gets a little distorted from what the character should look like, I feel like. Mm-hmm. So.
I thought I saw Issue said, I like cosplay. You like to Oh no, he says he doesn't like to dress up.
Well, he wears panda head, so I don't think that's true.
Yeah, you dress up. Admit it.
Not true.
Pandas Anonymous, you need to go to. He likes to see all the crazy costumes. Yeah, that Dragon Con is crazy. I mean,
it gets crazy after like 9-10 o'clock. Like,
yeah,
really crazy. Like rave crazy.
Yeah, there's probably 5 or 6 parties going on at the same time.
I mean, I feel like most of the people at Dragon Con after 10 o'clock, they probably don't even know where they are anymore. Like, they really don't. No way.
I guess, shall we move on to
Love and Comics?
Love and Comics. And I think the question for the chat is, who out of all the couples and all the relationships, and I know we're kind of talking mainly superheroes here, I suppose, who has the least trouble, the least complications with their relationship out of all the couples, and why do you think that might be? So leave a comment. Who do you think is that couple that really, just kind of